You are listening to Season 4 of Black Girl Missing, a true crime podcast covering stories of missing black girls under the age of 18. When black girls go missing, their cases are severely underreported in mainstream media. Join us as we dig deeper, ask questions, and provide unconsidered context. Due to the sensitive and sometimes graphic nature of these cases, we advise you to please use caution when listening. Hey y'all, welcome back to Black Girl Missing, a true crime podcast dedicated to telling the stories of missing black girls in the United States ages 0 to 17. I am one of your co-hosts, Nikki.
I'm Asa.
And I'm Dr. Michelle, Feminista Jones, Taylor.
That works.
We're back, guys. We're back.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Taylor.
Oh my gosh. Guys, it's been a long time. Audience, we know. You ain't even got to leave no comments. Listen, you got a bunch of 40-something-year-old women.
And the world is on fire.
Come on.
Yeah.
But listen, we are here. We are committed. Shout out to people who have been recently discovering us, though. I've actually had people kind of hitting me up saying, we recently discovered you. I actually did a panel on behalf of our podcast recently. And one of the clips they were showing was a sister they were talking to about this. And they were asking her, like, what can be done? And she was like, we've got podcasts like Black Girl Missing that are committed to this. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. She shouted us out. We're actually making some waves out there. And people will say, I love your podcast. I just started it. I was like, that's why we got 4 seasons. Catch up. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Our episodes are not necessarily like fun or salacious or sexy, but the things that we're saying are important. And if there is nobody to like bear witness to some of these stories, then what? Then what happens to them?
Mm-hmm.
Time moves on. They are forgotten. Nobody thinks about them, talks about them, speaks their names, none of that. And we are happy to hold that. We're happy to hold that.
Yeah. We are.
I got a whole lot to say. Let's go ahead and just dig right in.
Let's just, let's get into it. Guys, we do what we can and we are committed to this. And this story has been one for the books. So our good sis Nikki is going to guide us through this and, trigger warning and all of that great stuff.
Yes.
All right, Nikki, let's get into it.
Now, if you've been following along with us, we covered the disappearance of Naziah Harris on our last episode, which was quite a while ago. Sorry.
But what a way to come back.
Hey, what a way to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we are diving into the follow-up, which would be the trial, the guilty plea, and the sentencing of Jarvis Butts. And let me tell you, this case gets darker the more you peel back the layers. So grab your tea, your coffee, whatever you need. I've got more than enough liquid and we are going to sip through this. I want to be real about it. This is difficult stuff, but it's very important. Naziah's story deserves to be told. And the patterns we see here, they need to be understood so we can protect our children better. I'm going to start with a little recap for anyone who might be new or needs a refresher. On the last episode of Black Girl Missing, Asa told us about Naziah Harris, who was just 13 years old when she vanished on January 9th, 2024. She got off her school bus near Cornwall and 3 Mile Drive in Detroit. That was the last time anyone saw her. Her family reported her missing, and the community rallied quite a bit, which we don't always see.
Mm-hmm.
There were search parties, flyers, social media campaigns. Southeast Michigan was looking for this girl, but despite all those efforts, Naziah's body has never been found. Now, fast forward September 2024. This is more than 9 months after she disappeared, and authorities charged a man named Jarvis Butts with her murder and rape. Prosecutors did not mince words. They said Butts had impregnated Neziah and then killed her and the unborn child. According to the prosecution, quote, he knew she was pregnant and we knew he was looking for ways to abort the baby, end quote. Now let that sink in for a second. A 13-year-old girl, pregnant, and the man responsible allegedly at the time decided the solution was murder.
Mm-hmm.
That's not uncommon.
No, it
At
ain't.
all.
It's one of the leading causes of death in pregnant people.
Yep, yep,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
But here's where it gets even more disturbing. This was not a random act. Prosecutors argued that Butts had been grooming Neziah since at least 2022, exchanging sexually abusive text messages with her. This was calculated, it was predatory, it was evil. So I just want to kind of dig in a little bit to who Jarvis Butts was, foreshadowing. Um, he's not new to this. Court records show that back in 2004, Jarvis Butts served time in prison for sexually assaulting a child. He had history, he was a known predator. But I want to just kind of preface by saying Jarvis Butts was born in 1982. So in 2004, he was barely an adult,
He's only 22.
just a kid.
Wow.
Now, Wayne County prosecutor Kim Worthy did not hold back when she described him. She called him a classic, quote, a classic and expert groomer and pedophile. And she said that Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women to have sexual relationships with their young daughters.
Yep.
Again,
Yep.
befriended mothers to
Yep.
get access to their daughters, and we talk about that often.
Mm-hmm.
We talk
Mm-hmm.
about how if you have daughters, you have children, not even just daughters, you have children. Stop bringing these men into your homes.
I agree
Yes.
100%. We were just
I'm
actually
and I'm
just talking about this with
Mhm.
Jamila Lemieux's book coming out, Black Single
Mm-hmm.
Mothers, and a lot of conversations about this uptick in men saying, "Oh, they don't want to be stepfathers." I'm like, good,
Yes. Stay
good,
away
stay
from
away.
that.
Shout out to Jamila Lemieux, friend of the
Yeah.
show,
Yes.
fantastic book, Black
Yes.
Single Mother.
Yes.
It does talk about that in the book.
Yep. Like, it's
We
disgusting.
do not need men to come into homes of children with
Mm-hmm.
the intent to, because they get with these women to harm them. They
Yep.
have ways of looking for women who have children
Mm-hmm.
because they're looking for victims.
Yep.
um and it's disgusting. This is exactly what happened with Neziah, but it gets so much deeper. So her family dynamics are incredibly messy.
Woo, child.
We got to talk about how Jarvis Butts had access to Neziah because it's crucial. Neziah's mother is Kingetta Harris. When Neziah was 2 years old, around 2012, 2013, since Neziah's birthday's in September, Kingetta was dealing with some substance use issues. Very common, it happens. She made the difficult decision to relinquish her parental rights to her mother, Annette Harris, so that Neziah could have stability. Annette Harris already had foster children in the home. She already had, a multi-generational house. Very common in Black families. It happens. You got your matriarch, you got your cousins, the kids, the whoever else, all under one roof. Neziah's father, Mervyn, also signed over his rights, but for a different reason. He was married, and his wife didn't know about Neziah.
Mm.
He met Neziah's mother because they worked together. They conceived her, and he would, give her money and whatever, and they maintained what he called a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
His wife eventually found out, though. When Mervyn put himself on child support after Annette legally adopted Neziah, he put himself on child support, and Detroit Child Support Enforcement showed up at his home, and his wife is like, well, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
That's how she found out he had an outside baby. Fantastic. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by this time, Neziah is 2 years old. Imagine that pain. You think you got a good man. Turns out you got an outside baby. You paying child support and shit. Anyway, now Naziah is being raised by her grandmother Annette. This is where Jarvis Butts comes into the picture. Through Shannon Harris, Naziah's aunt and Kenyetta's younger sister. Now, according to her testimony at Jarvis Butts' preliminary hearing, Shannon says Jarvis met Naziah when she was 2 years old, right around the time Annette took over guardianship of Shannon, because Shannon claims that she met Jarvis when she was 19. Shannon was born in 1991. So her and Jarvis are a good amount of space apart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Family members have poked holes, her own family members, stating that Shannon was 17 when she got pregnant, which means she met Jarvis when she was 16. Again, he's a habitual offender.
Mm-hmm.
He's just dirty.
According, he's
Yeah.
just dirty,
A damn perv. Like, just
just
disgusting.
disgusting. Now, according to testimony and reports, if people in Shannon's life knew she was with Jarvis when Shannon was 16 and he was 27, that means this
Mm-hmm.
relationship started before Naziah was even born. Let me break
Mm,
that down though.
mm,
Jarvis Butts groomed and statutorily raped Shannon when she was a teenager. And then he groomed her to allow him to abuse her niece Naziah and possibly other children in the family. This man did not just prey on one generation. Hold on.
That's
oof,
insane.
oof,
Yeah. He preyed on
oof.
multiple people across generations in this one family. He embedded himself in this family and he used that trust and that access to destroy lives. Now, what I'm about to say is speculative and hearsay, but I'm going to say it anyway. People both related to the Harrises and longtime neighbors of this family say that Jarvis began his sexual relationship with the Harris family with Annette first. This
Man,
gets
listen.
deeper.
Mm,
Wow.
Annette first.
He found
Then,
a well of women and girls just all
yes.
in the
yes.
same space. Ugh.
A well of
Then,
women and girls that don't protect each other also.
Mm,
correct. Then Kenyatta, then Marquita, and lastly, Shannon. For clarity, Marquita and Shannon are twins.
mm, mm,
Kenyatta is their older sister, and they
mm,
are quite far apart. Kenyatta and Jarvis are the same age. So Kenyatta was also born in 1982. Marquita
mm.
and Shannon were born in 1991. Now, from that point on, he had access, he had opportunity, and he exploited both. Now, considering what is known about Jarvis's relationship history, he's an equal opportunity abuser. Like people will say, "Oh, he's a pedophile." Yeah, yeah, uh-huh. But he is also all of these other types of
He's
predator.
a
He's an
predator. He's a predator.
opportunist.
He's
Right.
literally just a predator.
Hmm.
Right.
He will sleep with older women for shelter, younger adult women for financial and incidental support, and then he'll rape teenage girls and prepubescent girls for sport. He's one of the worst kinds of predators. Just whatever he can
Mm,
get.
mm,
Now, in our last episode, we touched on the importance of misogynoir and colorism in this story.
mhm,
Jarvis is a tall, light skinned man with curly hair. He's about, I think, 6 feet tall or 6'1", something like that. Um, Slim build, curly hair, light skin, the whole, pretty boy kind of aesthetic. Only collects darker skinned monoracial black women with heavier bodies and undeniably African facial features.
Yep.
Impregnates them and then does not take care of his more than 14 children. I'm not actually sure how many kids he has. I have
Mm.
personally been able to count 14.
Jeez.
Doesn't take care. When I say doesn't take care of, I'm talking,
Jeez.
I looked at the open child support orders for him. There are reports for over 14 children.
Oh
Um,
God.
but 3 of those kids right now are in foster care. He does have adult children who were in foster care but have since aged out because they are adults now.
He,
Mm.
you said he was born in 1982.
Yes, we gonna get there. Hold on, that's a lot.
I was born in 79 and my kid is 19 and that was pushing it for me.
You were basically
Like,
a teen mom as far as I'm concerned.
right, like what is going on,
Exactly.
man?
I'm
Damn.
41 and I'm like, I don't want to be a teen mom.
I get it. Listen.
So next we're going to get into the court proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into what happened in court. Now, the preliminary examination stretched from 2024 until early 2025. And there was a whole lineup of witnesses who testified. Now, when you got a whole lineup of witnesses, that means people saw you do shit.
Mm-hmm.
They saw things.
Yep.
They saw things and they knew things.
Yep.
Interesting. Now, we're talking
Isn't that always
neighbors.
the case? Ain't that always the case though? Somebody somewhere knows something.
Oh, he was very open
Mm.
and brazen about what he was doing.
He was very open. Now, some of these witnesses are neighbors, DNA experts, mobile device specialists, detectives, the works. Detective Lisa Johnson from Detroit Police's Cold Case Division confirmed that Jarvis Butts checked into the Parkcrest Motel in Harper Woods on January 9th around 9:30 p.m. That's the same day Nazai disappeared. Sarah Markle, who specializes in phone extraction, also testified, corroborating what Detective Johnson said about his location. Now, if you checked into a motel in the same place that your phone pinged, you were probably at that location.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Now, then you have the family members and the associates. Miss Valerie was a neighbor who saw Nazia's school ID lying face down on the sidewalk, and she walked past it every day for 2 weeks until she finally decided to pick it up. And when she picked it up, she said, "This is the missing girl that's been on the news every day.
Oh.
Why would her ID be on the ground right here, though?" So she picks it up and she takes it to the police to say, "I found this, but I don't want no parts of what's going on. I just want to say that I found this. It could be a clue, could not be a clue. We don't know." Next was Annette Harris, Nazia's grandmother, Shannon Harris, her aunt, Tawana Butts. Tawana Butts is Jarvis's sister, and I mentioned how much I appreciated her in our last episode because she seemed to be the only person disgusted by him. She happened to be the
Mm-hmm.
only person who called the police and said, "I saw Nazia with him." Only person. The only person to call police and say, "I saw Nazia Harris with Jarvis Butts" was his sister. And what's wild is after she testified in his preliminary hearing, people sent her death threats for months.
Oh goodness.
Mm-hmm.
What,
What for?
what kind
What
of
the
cock did this high yellow motherfucker have? Sorry, no, respectfully, Nikki. Y'all already
wow.
Excuse
know
me.
what.
Excuse me. Y'all can't
Oh,
see us,
for
but
the
I am an
I'm
ebony
straight.
goddess. Don't listen to
wow,
her.
wow. We have one ebony goddess on this show, and her name is Asa.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
you the one that's about 2 shades darker than a loose leaf paper. I happen to be in the middle.
Not a recycled 8511.
I'm
That's
just a
fucked
couple
up.
of steps away. I
Y'all ain't no
respectfully don't
good.
mean to cast all of you in the same way, but let's be honest. In a city that seems to be locked in the 1980s, it makes sense that a high yellow nigga could get away. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that, but make sure that it seems like he could get away with this kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the family that he's targeted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they feel like they are the prize, and he had to have had clout in the community too, not just with the
Absolutely.
family. Like he had to have clout in the community to be able to walk around like this and do this shit.
Absolutely. Some of the other folks who testified were Cordell Wright, who goes by the name King. He was Jarvis's co-worker and business partner. He also was one of the last people to see Naziah Harris alive. Um, some of Jarvis's women, Tashiana Davis, his fiance at the time, Latricia Johnson, his child's mother, Each one added pieces to this really horrific puzzle. And there was a forensic expert named Green who discussed testing for blood evidence. Although Jarvis's defense attorney pointed out that no other test confirmed the presence of blood in certain areas, including parts of a vehicle. But the evidence was enough. Jarvis was bound over for trial in early 2025. His trial was supposed to be February of 2025, and it just kept getting pushed back and all the way to 2026. But it didn't stop there. Now, following the preliminary hearing, Jarvis was charged in several other cases involving second and third degree criminal sexual conduct with children. Now, many of his victims are actually his own children.
Oh, God.
Now, in September, he appeared in Detroit court for an arraignment. I'm sorry, September of 2025. He appeared in Detroit court for an arraignment involving an 8-year-old female relative, his daughter at the time, she was 8 years old at the time of the assault. This is his daughter. She is no longer 8 years old. This is from a few years back. And these charges detailed alleged sexual assaults going back more than a decade, because that child is now over a decade old.
Wow.
The man was a serial predator, y'all. Like, in the system had already
It's having so many kids. He's just passing down all this trauma to more generations of, and then the whole those who've been abused may become abusers type of thing. Like, just
But also him having these children to create his own prey.
that. Ooh.
And we, like, when you say, everybody's like, we don't talk about nobody. No, we don't talk about that enough.
Mm-hmm.
How many men procreate, like, expansively to create their own prey?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually something that's reserved for the 25-20s, but we also see it among broken Black people who have been deeply colonized and have, psychological warfare and completely twisted up, because this is not of us. This is not normal. This is not natural. This is savagery. And most of the people that do it are them, but he's one of them. But also, 2 shades darker than a low sleeve paper. I'm just saying, maybe he's got something in him. Maybe he got something in him. Now we know you Black. We know you all the way Black.
Yep.
But maybe he might have something else in him. Now, folks, we're not racist.
This man,
we just tell the truth.
But him, we're not sure. Period. This man was a serial predator, and the system had already caught him once before, back in 2004, when he did time in prison for sexually assaulting a child. But here we are. On February 12th of 2026, this year, Jarvis Butts did something that probably surprised a lot of people. He pleaded guilty. He took a plea deal. His trial was scheduled to start, I believe it was the February 23rd or something like that. And right before, he said, let me go ahead and just plead guilty and have this done and over with. So he entered pleas in 6 different cases, and here's what he admitted to. He admitted to second-degree murder in Naziah Harris's death, criminal sexual conduct of a then 7-year-old female victim, criminal sexual conduct of a 4-year-old victim, criminal sexual conduct of a then 8 or 9-year-old female victim, criminal sexual conduct of a 13-year-old female victim, criminal sexual conduct of a then 8-year-old victim. That's a lot. As part of a plea agreement, additional charges of criminal sexual conduct were dismissed. And some people might look at that and feel frustrated, like, why are we dismissing charges? But here's the thing. One of the most important aspects of a plea agreement, according to prosecutor Kim Worthy, was giving Naziah's family some semblance of closure, especially because many of the victims are also Naziah's family.
And didn't he say that he was going to reveal where the body was?
That was part of the plea deal. Yep.
Yeah, and I can imagine for the family, they just want to know where the baby is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as a condition of his plea, He was required to give a truthful statement regarding the location of her body. And Kim Worthy said, "We are satisfied with the statement he gave. It is not public information. Um, Although a lot of people are speculating
Mhm.
and asking questions and they want answers, that's all good and well. But there's a reason why everything in a case may not be public. Now, whether the statement he gave leads to the recovery
Yeah.
of her body remains to be seen. But as of now, her family still hasn't been able to lay her to rest. And that's a pain that I can't even begin to imagine.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so March 12th, 2026, that's I don't know, a couple weeks ago now. That's the day that Jarvis Butts stood before Judge Nicholas J. Hathaway in Wayne County Third Circuit Court. He wore a green jail inmate uniform and a paper face mask, which every time he appears, he's got a mask on, and it's very annoying because it's like, boy, you don't give a fuck about getting sick. You just don't want nobody to see your face. You dirty bastard.
Such a dirty bastard.
Anyway, several uniformed officers provided security in the courtroom, and for good reason, because things got intense.
Mm.
Now, victim impact statements were presented and emotions ran very high. Naziah's grandmother, Annette Harris, took the stand and she said, "It's been 2 years and 2 months since I reported Naziah missing, and I don't feel safe in my home. I have been threatened. My family has been threatened." And then she broke down, tears, raw grief, and that's when the courtroom erupted. You hear shouting. Someone yelled, "Shut up, shut the F up," and Judge Hathaway had to order two women to be removed from the courtroom. It turns out those women were Shannon Harris and then one of the cousins, I believe her name was Kiwana. You could hear them shouting in the hallway. There were comments on social media that said that they were fighting. I have no knowledge of whether or not that's true. Other speakers included one of the victims and a relative of one of the victims. Now, a relative, not his daughter, was one of the people who gave an impact statement.
Okay.
And because she's still a minor, they didn't show her on camera or anything, but you could hear her voice. And when she was speaking, he started to cry, and I just got mad because how how dare you to cry?
There's something wrong with this man. Like,
Yeah.
deeply wrong with this man.
And she talked about how
Mm.
she used to call him her dad, and she's like, "I don't see you as my dad anymore. I see you as a
Mm.
monster." She
Yeah.
said, "You've changed everything about me." She said, "Everything about me is different." She said, "Right on down to my sexuality is different."
Mm.
Like, to hear
Mm.
a child say, "You have changed everything about me. I don't want men anywhere near me because of what you did."
Mm.
Yep.
And it's like people understand that because they oftentimes have the same aversion to
Yep.
the demographic who harm them. Now, one of the relatives of the victims was one of his victims' mothers had something to say. And then also his sister Tijuana got up and spoke. And she said that, she didn't know if she was going to go to work that day or if she was going to come to court. She said she didn't really know what was the right thing to do. She said, but she didn't understand how or why he began to act that way because she was also a
Mm.
survivor of child sexual violence or I'm sorry, sexual violence when she was a child.
Mm.
And he knew about that. But you grew up and did the same thing to little girls that was done to me. Why would you do that? And she's like, we weren't raised like this. I don't know what made him act like this. I don't get it. And she
And
pleaded with him to
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. When I hear that, I
Mm-hmm.
have to ask, and I please, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but just in all the years of all the work that I've done, I've come across sexual predators, um, and have had to talk to them. And one thing that I have noticed among some of them is developmental disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Was
And
my
I'm
thought. Yeah, yeah.
some people, I'm wondering if he was also
Mhm.
assaulted as a child, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm
Oh,
getting
because
there.
I
You're
okay,
right.
sorry. I was just because I think of an R. Kelly, right? And
Yeah.
we hate him. That man is stuck at 12
Mhm.
years old. I don't care what
Yep.
nobody say. The man can't read. You talk to him, it's like talking to a kid.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
just, and that's not making an excuse for anything. It's just trying to understand, because if we can't fix these issues if we don't try to understand them. And everything I learned about Jarvis Butts is against my will,
Yeah.
but it's from me, without even knowing where you're going with the story. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, it points to, was he assaulted as a
Mhm.
child? Is he developmentally disabled? Like he's traumatized and stuck somewhere? Does he really just not know that this is wrong?
Mhm.
Like, I don't. Again, I'm
There's
not
one
making
thing.
excuses, and I'm not trying to be ableist or anything. I'm just kind of, we think out loud on this show. We
Yeah.
think out loud on this show.
So there is one, just to kind of like piggyback off of that. There is one thing that I noticed about him and R. Kelly that are very, very similar.
Mm.
When they talk about
Mhm.
themselves or the things that they've done, or they talk to people that they've been intimate with,
Mhm.
they come across almost like they're arrogant. But what it
Mm.
really is it's just childishness.
It's
It's like
childishness.
it's that
Yes.
kind of, I have no actual awareness
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for the seriousness of what is happening around me. So I
Mm-hmm.
sound very cavalier, very nonchalant,
Right.
almost confident.
Almost
But
like,
it's
why are
really
you
like,
making a big deal out of this? Like, why is everybody making a big deal? Kind of.
right.
Right, but then you also have to factor in that their communities have shielded them from the
Mm-hmm.
consequences of this as well. So they weren't getting those cues that this is wrong because people
Yeah.
kept covering
Yeah.
up for him. And same with R. Kelly. They're not, you can't rehabilitate somebody or show somebody that what they're doing is wrong if you're not letting them know
And
it
if you're
is.
growing up in
Absolutely.
a culture and a space and a play in a community where this happens so much, right? And I think about my own
Mhm.
upbringing and some of the places that I've been in. I think about what happened with me. This is just kind of something that just happened. It just like, I mean, and not,
Mhm.
again, I'm not excusing it, but it was so common that who's going to say this is wrong when so many people are doing this and are coming from parents and grandparents who did it. Like, at what
Mhm.
point? And I'm thinking about Detroit. I'm thinking about the devastation of Detroit. I'm thinking about the poverty. I'm thinking about the education. All these things. Who was there? Where was the interventions?
Like we do the retrospective when we're listening to our music and be like, they were talking about young girls. And yes, so we,
Yeah. Yeah.
the culture, and I don't necessarily mean black culture, I mean the culture of where we
Oh yes.
live
Oh no,
created
it's not. It ain't
this.
definitely ain't a black thing, because it's more of a class thing than anything else. Because when you go into these poor white areas, Appalachia's
Mhm.
area, some areas there, some of the poorer areas in the rural areas, same shit is happening in their families and their
Mhm.
communities, and they're all making excuses for them too, and they're covering up. It's the pastor, it's the local teacher, it's somebody's father who owns the farm, and all this kind of stuff. It's just part of what it is, and it's like, you have to wonder, do some of these people even know that this is not normal? And when you talk to survivors of
Mhm.
childhood sexual assault, a lot, how many times have they said, I learned about it in school, that's how I knew it was wrong? Or somebody later in
Mhm.
life had to say, that's not what daughters do with their daddies, you know what I mean? Or that's not what sons do
Mhm.
with their mommies, like they didn't know that. So think
Mhm.
about how he is having all these children, praying intergenerationally on this family, and all the kids are kind of growing up seeing this.
Mhm.
What reason would they have to think that this was wrong? Again, folks, we're not making
Mhm.
excuses,
But
but
also
we know where
another
we
thing that
come.
but another thing that happens sometimes is, and again, not making excuses, when you have a culture of abuse, whether it is physical, verbal, sexual, all of that, it becomes a, oh, that's just something that happens.
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
just something that happens. You just grin and bear it, and you just keep going. So I'm not going to tell anybody about this thing that's happening to a kid I know, because it happened to me too. and then it
Mhm.
happened to my mom, and it
Mhm.
happened to my cousin, and it happened to my auntie and my grandma. And it's like, this is just something that happens where we're from.
Yeah.
And that
Right.
if I don't tell anybody, it'll be easier, it'll be better, it'll be smooth sailing moving forward because I didn't get this person in trouble.
Right.
And so now
And
it's
then when you're talking about the poverty, that person is probably the
Mhm.
breadwinner. It's probably the person that's clothing and housing and all of that. So you have to factor in there's that responsibility that victims
Mhm.
shoulder. If I speak up for justice for myself, I might be dooming the rest of my family.
And I saw pictures of him with her, happy
yeah.
pictures as a child
Yeah.
in the school and things like that. At least he's a
Mhm.
daddy that showed up.
So,
Mm.
well, we talked about this in the last episode,
Mhm.
how his utility was bigger than what he was doing wrong. So it
Mhm.
was like,
Mhm.
because he worked in an auto shop and he knew how to work on cars. I know that if my kid needs something, he's always going to have some money because he's a mechanic, so he has money every day. Or I know if I need my car fixed, I can take it to him because he can fix it. He works in an auto shop,
Mhm.
so I know that he has access to things I may need.
Mhm.
Just to have a man around, to have a piece of man. But the fact that this family was
Mhm.
basically sharing a piece of man
Mhm.
is nuts to
That's some sick,
me.
that's some sick stuff. I'm sorry, I just got to put it out there. Like that's.
So let me just let me
I'm sorry,
finish
we
the
got off
court.
track.
The
Sorry,
court.
I
No, it's fine. No.
apologize.
So during the sentencing hearing, um, so Tawana Butts was talking, and she just wrapped up the overall theme from the Harris family was that there was stress, there was financial impact, and there was unbearable grief. Tawana Butts was just disgusted and exhausted by the whole thing. And then came the sentence, and he was sentenced to 35 to 60 years in prison for second degree murder, 10 to 15 years for 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct. So it was him serving these sentences concurrently. So it would be 35 minimum,
Mhm.
60 maximum,
Mhm.
35 years before he would be eligible for um, probation or parole. No, I'm sorry, parole. And by him being 42, 43 years old, he wasn't going to live much longer.
Yeah.
But that remains to
Mhm.
be seen. So hold
Well,
tight.
I don't know that. Listen, brothers, listen. Please go to the doctor because black men, Exennial, Gen X, y'all are dropping off by age 50, and it's just not
Well,
for him because he could do whatever he want to do. But worm food is great. But I'm just saying, y'all go to the doctors. Let them wiggle in your butt a little bit. Sorry, I
when
know
you,
this is wrong,
Michelle,
He's not
but
gay.
that's just
let,
what.
let me
I'm sorry.
when let me
They
just say,
gotta
when you get a prostate exam, they are
please.
not digging in your butt.
I was talking
It
about
is
the
a blood test.
colonoscopy. I was talking about the snake up the butt, the
Oh,
colonoscopy.
okay.
They need that.
Oh, the
You need
colonoscopy.
that. You need that. Colon cancer gets black
Oh
men,
my
right?
god.
And the prostate, and you let them jiggle your balls a little bit. That's always a public service announcement on Black Girl Missing. Brothers, we love you, some of you, and we want you to live past age 50. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Your prostate exam is a blood test. Please go get that
Oh,
because
they
black
don't
men are
fondle
two
their balls.
times.
I thought they tested the testes.
No,
They don't juggle the
No.
balls. What's the point? For testicular cancer, don't they juggle it? Okay.
that's not the
That's not
prostate.
prostate
It's
cancer.
all the same. It's all in the same
Those are
region.
two.
Region a lot
Oh
of you don't clean
god.
properly. Okay, guys, we're back.
Please know this is not tested medical
Guys, guys,
advice.
we're back.
Jeez.
I thought they told
Oh
them
my
to
god.
juggle their stuff the way we fondle our stuff to look for lumps and stuff.
I don't know about that. All I'm saying, I worked it for.
Oh my god, fact check me,
All I'm
bro. Fact
saying,
check me, bro.
the testes and the prostate are two
I
separate
understand that.
entities.
But I'm talking about the whole groin booty situation is killing black men
How
because of the
about this?
Yes.
homophobia. It's because
Okay.
of the
Okay.
homophobia and they don't want the snake in the butt, they don't want the blood test, they don't want to jiggle the balls. And then that's why so I'm not supposed
How
to
about y'all
cry.
Hey, black men, if you are insured, please go to the
just go
doctor
to the
for your
doctor?
annual physical.
Don't listen to us. Just go to the doctor.
Please go to the doctor.
You need to be getting a physical every year. Get your blood work. Please. Jesus Christ.
Your insurance might even send you a gift card.
Guys, we're talking
'Cause
about something
mine does.
serious here. That's my fault.
I also want to let y'all know she's a doctor of Africology, not a medical doctor. So
I am not a medical doctor. Do not take my. I'm just saying.
Please don't go in nobody's office asking it about ball jiggle.
But maybe do that. If that's the language you have to tell your doctor that you're concerned about testicular cancer, you need them to juggle your balls real quick. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not gay, and even if it was gay, gay is not bad. We love gay over here. All of us are half gay. We love it.
if I spit lemonade on my MacBook, I'm whooping your ass.
We are not cutting this out. This is important.
A wildly inappropriate tangent.
Sorry.
Sorry, y'all. We also
His
have
last name is
ADHD. I'm
Butts.
sorry.
His last name is Butts. You wanted me to get through this whole episode without talking about butts. I'm trying to understand. You put too much on me. I'm not that mature. Golly.
Michelle,
Oh, my face hurts.
you all right now?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, we back. So, here's where it gets a little bit juicy, though.
Juicy
I'm about
butts.
to. Oh my god. I'm about to fuck y'all heads up.
Oh no.
So, in our last episode, I believe we did talk about how Jarvis has 5 children with Shannon Harris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it gets a little murky. Hold on. Now, I want you to just like walk with me because the story takes a turn into some really dark speculation, but speculation that's rooted in some real troubling facts, okay? Now, according to an adjacent family member, Jarvis Butts fathered his first child at the age of 13 or 14
Oh man.
with a woman who was 20 years old at the time.
He was assaulted.
Guillotine.
Her name is Tanika, and that information came from Tanika's older son, who witnessed Jarvis and his mother together in their home when he was a little boy.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Again,
he's in his
where he got it from, right? Right.
he's in his like mid to late 30s now, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw Jarvis and my mother together." And he's been on podcasts and things like that over the last like year or so. And then you'll hear people from Jarvis's family and also the Harris family who tried to refute that. But how the fuck would y'all know?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
So
wasn't even.
But
in the
again,
mix
even
then.
them
Hello.
trying to refute it, it's a culture.
it's a culture.
It's a cultural thing
Right.
there that they. And when I say cultural, I'm not talking about black people. I'm saying that there's a culture cultivated in this community where this kind of
Yes.
thing is, as
Mhm.
young people say, normalized. And we already know that even outside of spaces like this, that they celebrate young boys when they are with a so-called older woman, and you're supposed to
Mhm.
be proud of that and lucky with that. So already from the young age, he has not learned that adults are not supposed to do this with children.
Yep.
And then you have you can't be telling our family business outside.
Mhm.
Now you got the whole country in my living room, in my house.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You done told our very insular business
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
And that is very common in both environments of abuse and also in the Black community.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
we are oftentimes conditioned to feel responsible for what other people got going on just
Mhm.
because they're black.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how like we'll see like a black person do some foolish shit, and it's like, oh damn, they black. Please don't tell me that they
Mm-hmm.
black. And then you find
Yep.
out like, oh yeah, they black. Well, shit. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Mm.
Now, Tanika is also probably a victim of sexual abuse. She is very childlike,
Shocking.
very
Yeah.
childlike, and has it. She has documented and admitted to having some some cognitive challenges, some
Hmm.
plain old good old American illiteracy.
Hmm.
Now, when their
Mm-hmm.
child, so basically what happened was court records show Jarvis and Tanika on a case together when the state terminated both of their parental rights
Wow.
back in 2003.
Wow.
Jarvis was just 21 years old at the time. Now, that child had been in foster care since 1999 when Jarvis was a
Pausing.
teenager.
Hold up. So Tanika was never charged with anything despite getting pregnant by him when he was 13 and she was 20.
Nope.
Okay, just making sure
Well,
I
because
read that
again,
right.
like
Okay,
we
okay.
know they treat this as like good job, young man.
Yeah.
We
Good
don't like
job,
we don't
young
like
man. You got
we don't like no predator over here on this show. We don't make
no,
no nobody over
This
here.
is
Nope.
bullshit.
not at all. So here's the neighborhood lore is that Tanika and Jarvis's mother, Brenda, were good friends, and that's how she got access to him. But we know he doesn't stay put, right? Moving forward. Back in 2004, Jarvis allegedly, when he was 22, allegedly picked up a 17-year-old girl named JoJo from Saginaw, Michigan, and drove her back to Detroit. He met her off of a dating chat line. Remember those? You pick up the chat line and you jaw jacking
Mm-hmm.
with a stranger all night.
Mm-hmm.
Brought her back to Detroit. Basically was like, oh, you know, you're going to be my girl. I'm going to love you and be your man. We're going to make a family. When she decided she wanted to go home, Jarvis brandished a weapon, as he's known to do, and refused to take her.
Hmm.
He told her about plans he had for her to work for him as a sex worker. What is that called?
Trafficking.
According to JoJo, Jarvis picked her up with a driver described as an Arab man around Jarvis's age.
Hmm.
Let me just insert that all of Jarvis's criminal charges dating back to the early 2000s are for two things: sex-related crimes and guns. Literally nothing else.
Yep.
The man ain't even got a fucking speeding ticket. He's got guns,
Wow.
guns and rape. That's his thing.
Not even a drug charge.
Jeez.
Nope.
That's
No
wild.
weed, no coke, no nothing. Guns and rape. That's it. Now, Jarvis has a long-time business relationship with a man named Fadi Hashem. Everyone calls him Frank, who is an Arab man.
I'm sorry,
Frank
that's not supposed to be funny.
Frank is the same Frank that owns the Frank's Auto Center that Jarvis worked in the last time Desire was here.
You know
Oh.
what?
It all comes full circle, baby.
So
Oh.
wait, so he's out of, which means does he have international connections, and is this
It
Jarvis a local
it
kind of
doesn't
thing?
no, it doesn't seem like Frank has like a lot of international shit going on.
Okay.
He was born and raised in
Mm-hmm.
Detroit.
Got it.
However, Frank is a Muslim Arab man. Jarvis was also identified as Muslim. Now, Detroit has a huge black Muslim
Yeah.
population.
Yeah.
And Detroit also has a really robust intermixing of Muslim folks. So you've got a lot of Arabs and blacks who just kind of like
Yeah.
mix together. And
Yeah.
that's no shade to the Muslim community whatsoever. They are totally outliers here. This has nothing to do with Muslim folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just a point of note.
No, that's important.
Um, but there is So because of this connection, there's been long time speculation, and I want to emphasize this is speculation, that Frank Hashem might be part of a sex trafficking ring using his auto shops as a front. That
Yeah.
information
Mm.
that information comes from the fact that community members have remarked that Frank's auto shops, like not Frank the person, but the auto shops, that Frank's does good work when and if they have material available. That's very now
Mm.
remember,
And remember the
this
last
is
time we were talking about it, when we were talking about how it wasn't just Naziah having gone to that auto shop with Jarvis. It was her, what was it, little sister
no,
or
that
cousin?
was her cousin. That was Jarvis's daughter. I'm not
Cousin.
gonna say her
That
name,
was, yes.
but that's Jarvis's daughter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So more people knew
Yeah.
that some shit was
That's
going
what I
on in
was
there.
thinking, that the mechanic thing was a cover, because remember when Jada
Mm-hmm.
Pinkett Smith did that special on trafficking, and they exposed how they were trafficking these girls out of these barbershops and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm setting them, these kinds of legitimate businesses up, and
Uh-huh.
using them as a cover. That's what I was thinking about. Oh man.
Mm.
So the community members are like, yeah, sometimes they do really great work, but you go in there, they don't have anything you need. They don't have anything for an oil change. Why don't you have anything for an oil change? You're a fucking auto shop.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So it's as if the actual auto work is optional for them. It's suspicious, but not a stone cold fact, right? Now, during Jarvis's sentencing hearing, witnesses saw Frank lunge at Jarvis from the spectator area. He
Mhm.
got dragged out by officers, obviously, because you can't do that. Now, people are divided on what that means. Some think it means Frank was showing genuine anger at Jarvis for disrupting whatever nefarious plans they might have had in motion. Others think it was all for show, like Frank's way of making it seem like he's disappointed and disgusted with Jarvis, and he really might just be as complicit. We don't know. Time will tell. But what we do know is that Jarvis Butts did not operate in a vacuum. He had connections and enablers. And if there are more people involved in this web of abuse and exploitation, they do need to be held accountable.
100%.
I feel like it's important to kind of note that it was well known that, and I think I may have not touched on this enough, but it's well known that the women in Naziah Harris's family viewed her as quote unquote fast. They said that she was fast.
Mhm.
They would do stuff like make little casual comments about her maybe being pretty, maybe not, maybe being smart, maybe not. She danced on TikTok all the time. They would make little comments about that. First of all, why is your 13-year-old dancing on TikTok?
That part. But it also sounds like there was jealousy
There
there.
was a lot of jealousy there, and they'll
Eh,
they'll say, "Oh, I wasn't
For
I wasn't jealous of my niece. That's my niece. I love her." But we all know it is
mhm.
very common in a patriarchal society that we live in for grown women to view a child as some sort of threat. And
Right, especially I was just about to say.
when the man that you love and you care about and you got on the stand and said, "Well, we're not in a relationship. We just have sex sometimes, but you happen to also have 5 children with him." Um you're
Mhm.
taking a piece of a man, the piece that you can get, which is usually just some dick. Um and then you're upset because you can see that he is interested in a child in your family, and instead of looking at him like a predator, you're looking at her like competition. And that's
Right.
disgusting. Now, the case was a gut punch. But the best part, I think, is I don't want to say it's the best part, but the most interesting part is that today, this morning, Jarvis killed himself in prison.
Shout out to all my homies that know me and were sending me the news
Sure did.
articles.
You sure did kill him.
So
Woo.
here's the
You sure
thing.
did. Sure did.
I I have really been dipping my toe into local Detroit blogging and podcasting culture, and it's a hot fucking mess. A lot of people don't make any sense at all. The amount of people who are like, "Oh, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, I know where Nazia's body is crazy to me. Like, what? What are you doing? Knock it off." There are people who are saying, "Oh, well, we're never going to get justice." Well, what is justice in a situation like this? What does that look like?
Yeah, do they want him to
Mhm.
suffer and be like sexually assaulted in prison for the rest of his life?
Prison
And there are a lot of people
for the
that
rest
want
of his
that,
life.
and I like
Yeah.
I'm you know
Yes.
me, I'm like not
Yes.
with that. To
Nope.
me, the daughter is not coming back.
Nope.
They don't know
Mm-mm.
where she is. To me,
Mm-mm.
that's the justice, is to be able to lay that baby to rest.
Now, do we know if he did give the location because of that plea agreement,
So
and we just haven't heard from whether or not they found anything?
here's the problem. So he did give a location, and Kim Worthy said that
Uh
they were
huh.
satisfied with the explanation that he gave. The
Uh huh.
problem is now Detroit police have had to put out a statement that says, "We follow every lead you give us, and that we are going to try to locate her body." It may be gone.
Hmm.
It's 2026. Like,
Yeah.
it's at the mercy of the elements, you know? Um,
True. True.
so what's happening now is that you have all of these like armchair detectives in Detroit, and they all
Hmm.
are doing this thing where they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna find her body ourselves," and the police botched this case, and I'm like, "But everything you know about the case came from the police, so how did they botch it? What are you saying?" But like,
Hmm.
it just was it was kind of hard to like,
And
it was kind of difficult to look at like local reporting or local bloggers or whatever you want to call them, because they would say things that just simply did not make sense. Like the idea that the they botched the case. Um, I'm not sure what they mean by that, because if you have a full transcript of all of their text messages going back 2 years, that doesn't sound like a
hmm.
botched case to me. If you have his
Right.
location pinged for 24 whole hours, that doesn't sound like botching a case to me. That sounds
Unless they mean like Jarvis should never have gotten out of jail, I don't. For the previous assaults, I don't know where, and we don't give police like kudos
ever,
around here.
ever.
But they did what needed to be done
Yeah.
here, as far as we can see.
So I do want to close out with just saying that this case is a reminder that predators are almost always going to be people we know,
Hmm.
and people who may seem trustworthy by an outsider. Somebody may have saw pictures of Jarvis and these girls at school or at church, because they all went to church together too, and say, "Oh, that's a good man. He's a good dad," or whatever, and not have any idea because they just didn't know these people.
Yeah.
People who worm their way into families and communities just to do them harm. Jarvis Butts did not just take Nazia's life. He stole her childhood, her future, her potential.
Hmm.
When she died, she was very pregnant. There are lots of videos of her on
Hmm.
TikTok with a basketball round belly. They said that she was around 5 or 6 months pregnant. Um, no little girl should have to do that, live like that, or deal with it, none of that. And there was no medical records to confirm she was pregnant, which means we don't know when and if anyone was taking these kids to the doctor, which
Hmm.
is
Okay.
evidence that adults around them knew what was happening and just turned to
And
a blind eye
right.
to it.
And knew if they
And
took her in,
we
there'd be questions.
absolutely.
Yes, that part.
Yeah.
So, and here's another thing. So Marquita Harris and Annette Harris are one of those people who they almost make a living being a foster parent. They
Hmm.
both have lots of children in their homes, um, who are all wards of the state. The issue there is you have sexual assault victims in your home.
Mm.
You have a registered sex offender in and out of your home
Yep.
who
Oh
happens to be
yeah.
the father of 5 of the children who are always in your home.
Who you also have been fucking.
So it begs the question of, and we've done cases previously where there's an issue with the social workers involved in DFACS or DHS or DFS or whatever the agency is called in whatever locale. But what the fuck? Like, what kind of investigating it? What kind of questions are being asked before these people are given children who are not theirs to care for? How
Mm-hmm.
many kids that were foster children were harmed by him? Do we know? If anyone, we really don't know, and we may never know. But Nazaya should, she should be here. She should be living her life and figuring out who she wants to be and dreaming about her future. And instead, her family, regardless of any level of involvement or complicity, are left with grief, unanswered questions, and a plea deal that gave them some information but not the closure they truly deserve. And it's such a complicated thing because it's like all of these people are both, they're both the victims and the villains in this situation, because it's like, what the fuck were y'all
Mm-hmm.
doing? Where were you when she needed you the most? So it's like, what do you do with this? And it's like,
So
we remember her name, we talk about these patterns, we listen when something feels off, and we have to hold predators accountable because they're in our orbit. If they're in your orbit, stop inviting them to your fucking dinner table.
Whew.
you know,
Nobody ostracized Jarvis Butts, and he should have been ostracized
he should
years
have
ago.
been
Yes.
like, I mean, he should have been
Yes.
in the outskirts of the community trying to get in, and
Mm-hmm.
everywhere he tried to get in, they was like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? This made me think about real quick, just when there's reporting of intimate partner violence between Black men and Black women,
Mm-hmm.
they're often presented as a fight, as though it's on even footing, because they see our relationships as inherently violent because of how they think about us, right? Particularly those of
Yes.
us that are in the lower class areas. And in some ways, I think that there's a similar approach to sex crimes that happen within our community. This, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's just how they are. That's just the kind of thing that they do, even though we have all the data to show that white people do it the most, and whatever. There's this stigma, I think, that some people have, that Black people are inherently violent in our interpersonal relationships, that we are inherently going to do these vile kinds of things, and may even brush it off as that's just what they do, and we're not
Mm-hmm.
getting involved. And I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
within our community, but I'm talking about people outside of our communities kind of
Mm-hmm.
look at us in this way. And that's why, when I wrote about hip hop not having a Me Too moment, is because, like, they sit on the outside and they look at us, they look at a Diddy, they look at a R. Kelly, and it's like, well, that's just how you jungle bunnies are.
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
don't care until a white woman is involved, right? Because even a white
Mm-hmm.
man can report something and they don't care about that. But if it's not until a white woman is involved. We saw that with Samuel Little. We saw that with Daniel Holtzclaw. We saw it takes a white woman for people to actually think twice, because when it's happening between us, they're just like, yeah, but that's just how they are. They do that
Yeah.
stuff. And I know that factors in to how these cases get treated, how people talk about it, social media, online, things like that. There's still that hint of that, and it really bothers me. It's like, no, we are not inherently like this. We are products, often
Right.
products of our environment, right? Again, we have to
Right.
go
Mm-hmm.
back to it's more of a class issue than anything.
Yep.
We know that domestic violence is 7 times more likely among people living in poverty. We know the sexual violence increases in people living in poverty. So we have to look at that. But it's not something that is just like, oh, those Black people are savages and that's what they do. That's the narrative they created about us. And I think there are those within our communities that have internalized that, right? The same
Mm-hmm.
way you can internalize anti-Blackness, this is a part of that. And I think they
Yeah.
internalize it like, this is just what we do. Yeah, young brothers, yeah, they having sex when they 5 or 6 because that's just what we do. The girls are fast because that's just what we do. And I know that there's something there. I maybe not be articulating it the best, but there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another thing that I noticed quite a bit in just the discussions around Naziah Harris's murder. I keep seeing a lot of people pivoting from talking about Jarvis to talk about how Annette and Shannon need to be arrested, and Annette and Shannon
Mm-hmm.
need to be
Mhm.
jailed. They need to be held accountable. They need to this. They need to that. And I'm like, these people don't realize that they are actually low key siding with Jarvis. They don't even realize that they are
Mhm.
Shannon and Annette all over again. Because
Yeah.
Mm.
instead of looking at what a man did to a girl, you keep trying to make a woman who was also groomed by him be responsible for what he
Mhm.
did, instead of holding him, specifically just singularly him,
Mm.
accountable. And it's like, are they wrong? Yes, they are. But the inability to both see these women as victims in this system of oppression, the inability to see them as dynamic characters in the background of this situation. Because when you look at Annette's background, she had her first child, she was like 13. She has I think she has
And
six kids, 6 or 7 kids, but she had her first child, she was like 13. Shannon, first kid, teenager, with a grown man.
Yeah.
And that,
and I think we have to look at what we mean by accountability, because a lot of times people say accountability and they just mean punishment.
yeah,
But if I'm talking about accountability for them, it would be to understand why that A, they have been victims, and B, why what happened was wrong.
yeah.
Because other than that, it means nothing.
And another thing I think about, and I know people are probably going to hear what I say and think I'm making excuses, or I'm not. When you look at a system of oppression and how it harms Black women, especially Black women who live in poverty, who are they supposed to tell?
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Who,
Right.
That
and
part.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't have
Right.
said anything, but who
Right.
are they supposed to tell? Like,
Right.
if I know that my entire community is doing the same shit that Jarvis is doing, if
Mm-hmm.
I know that that there is another Jarvis in the family down the street, there's another Jarvis in the family across the street, there's another Jarvis in the family next door. They all
Mm-hmm.
got their own Jarvis. He's gonna look a little different depending on the household, but they all have one. Who am I supposed to go to? Who do I tell?
Hmm.
If I
Do
go
I
to
go?
the if I
Right.
go to
Right. Go
if
ahead.
I go to the police and I go to the if I go to the police and I say, "Hey, my daughter's baby daddy is a sex offender and I think he's harming other kids in my household." At some point, all you niggas going to jail. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if it's your fault or not. Because now you have made yourself a target for the police for it, whatever, doesn't matter what it is. It can be food stamp fraud, it can be, child care fraud, because you got all these foster kids. Now we want to see all your paperwork. We want to see everything. Now we want to be all in your business, because that's what happens when you're Black. The moment you call the police, you are now known to them. And now they want to know everything that's going on in your household,
Hmm.
because they view it as, I'm paying for your groceries because you get food stamps. I'm paying for your child care because
Hmm.
I pay
Mm-hmm.
taxes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
paying for your home because you're getting subsidized housing. I'm paying for. So that means I get to be in your business.
Yeah. And I think this is what makes our abolition stance more understandable,
Yeah.
is that it's not that we're talking about there never nobody getting justice. We're not talking about letting people roam free and doing whatever the hell they want. We're talking about figuring out the root causes of things
Hmm.
and how to stop them before they happen.
Yeah.
And if that can't be done, what does justice truly look
Yeah.
like for victims? Not your revenge fantasies, not just punishment for the sake of punishment, but what does justice actually look like?
Yeah. And I mean, sitting in these Facebook groups and whatever, and seeing people talk about, I want justice. This isn't justice. I want this and I want that. And I'm just like, but is that justice though? Like,
Who are you?
what makes that
But also, who
justice?
are
Who
you?
are you? What makes this justice
Well,
for
we have.
Nazaya's memory or for any of his victims?
We live in this
Mhm.
incarceration nation, right? I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time where people are
Yeah.
bloodthirsty. They want to see people suffer. They adhere to authoritarianism. That is what they prefer. And so they want to see, they want to be able to see it. And, reality TV has contributed to that. CSI, those kinds of shows
Yep.
all have contributed to these
All the
people
propaganda.
becoming bloodthirsty and wanting, to see this. And the true justice is reparations for the community that
Yeah.
has been harmed by this. Pour money into that community to get
Yeah.
group therapy and treatment and
Yes.
healing and mobile mental health services and those kinds of things that can start, healing this community before this happens with the next generation. Like, how do we stop it now? Justice looks like funding the schools and offering more support services, funding those that are
Yes.
developmentally disabled, providing all of those kinds of supports so that we are no longer incubating predators, cultivating predators. We are actually intervening when they are children to help them figure out which way they're supposed to go. That's what justice looks like to me. It's not going to bring Nasiah back.
No.
Finding her body is not going to bring her back. None of the children that have gone through these things are going to be able to take any of that back, right? As somebody who's a
Mm-mm.
survivor, it's never going to go away. But what we can do is try to turn things around and prevent it from happening to others.
Yeah.
And
There
that's
also
hard.
needs
Thank
to
you.
be, I'm sorry. Um
No,
there also needs to be some emphasis on what healing looks like as a community versus what
mhm.
healing looks like on an individual level, right? Like I can go to therapy every week, every single week. But if there is a culture of abuse in my orbit, there needs to be something that's happening as a group that looks like healing, feels like healing, and is more than just it's more than just the facade of what healing looks like. It's not like, oh, I go to yoga and I go to whatever the fuck and I do the things and I take my pills. It has to be deeper and it's more to the gut, to the core. Because the amount of people that I saw saying that they wanted justice and like they would kind of their definition of justice was like, oh, I want him to be like raped in prison every day, or like it would be something like very very violent. And I'm like, I hear where you're coming from. I do. But that is not it. It's not it.
Mhm.
Because
It's
now
not it.
you're just continuing this
Right.
cycle of sexual violence. And just because he's in prison does not mean that that is the way things should be or the way things should go. That none of that is an honor to Naziah's memory.
Mhm.
It's all so sick though. It really is. And like the more I started like looking into the details and the little nooks and crannies, I'm just like, this entire family is fucked. I mean, they've really been through a lot. And nobody felt any amount of care or sympathy or empathy for them at all. It was like, oh, that's just a whole family of villains, lock them all up. And I'm like, yeah, but this started somewhere. How is
Absolutely.
locking them up going to
Mhm.
help? What is that going to change?
And it also tells me that people don't understand how sexual violence is weaponized until
Yeah.
they start
Mhm.
weaponizing and you point it out to them. It's like, you're
Mhm.
all mad that he weaponized and used sex as a weapon against this girl. But
Mm-hmm.
now you want him to receive the same weapon and you think that that's justice. You think that's payback, all while you praying to your Christian God
Yeah.
who said, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord," right? But you want to
Yep.
see that
Mhm.
happen, and that's why I'm an abolitionist, is because, like, no, actually, y'all, that's not okay, and nor is it
Mm-mm.
okay for our taxpayer dollars to go towards funding that kind of thing. I actually
Nope.
think him
Mhm.
taking his own life is the best thing that he could have done. He knew what
Yep.
was going to happen to him in jail. They do not
Yep.
suffer those child predators in the pen. You ain't gonna live long anyway. He knew what was coming, and he took his own life. And I support it, and I'm glad that that's the way he went out. My views do not reflect those
Mhm.
of Black Girl Missing. I'm only speaking for myself. That I'm glad that he did that, And I'm glad that he's no longer breathing up our good air. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that the
Mhm.
taxpayers do not have to pay for him for the next 35 to 60
Mhm.
years of life. He's gone. He's no longer here. And I
Uh-huh.
don't know what else they could possibly want. The man is dead. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He can't
Yeah.
hurt anybody else.
Mm-mm.
That's that.
Nobody else. But
And like,
go ahead, Ace. I'm sorry.
I think one of the big roles we have here at Black Girl Missing is that we want to challenge more people to think a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Think a little bit deeper about when you hear about a young girl is quote unquote run away. Think a little bit deeper about what justice looks like and why we have this show, what needs to change within ourselves and within our environments. um, we're not doing this just to tell the stories. We have a reason for telling the stories, and none of these victims should be losing their lives in vain. We should be learning from what happened so that we don't have future
Yeah.
victims.
Like, we don't want to have to be able to keep doing this show.
Right.
Like, our hope is that we're getting you to think differently about things. One of the things I said when I was on the panel, I said, you know what I do these days, or I have been for actually several years now. I go to truck stops and I peek into the fronts of the trucks to see if there's a child
Mm-hmm.
there. I pay attention when I'm looking and at these children and their faces if something seems off, right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
increase our awareness about trafficking and things like that. We have to think about what's going on, and we have to use our instincts and our guts. Something It's better to be overprotective than to not do enough, right? And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can get you to think more about how you can be supportive of when a girl goes missing or any child goes missing, how you can help get the information out, how you can start to think about things differently. Why is it that we're able to get sometimes more information than what's coming out, like the police are getting? Like, why are we able to dig around
Mm-hmm.
and learn more things than they seem to know, right? It's because we care, we're aware, and we're hoping to increase your awareness and to get you to think about that. We are very serious, and we want you to also juggle your balls. And we'll be back again soon, guys. We're here. I have somebody who told me they listen to every episode. They listen to every episode. So, we got
Oh,
fans, y'all. All right, let's wrap this
I
up.
thank
appreciate
you. Thank
I appreciate anybody who ever listens to even just one episode. But for those of you who
Yeah,
listen to all of our episodes, thank you very much. Love you very much.
we love
Please feel
you.
free to follow the show on Patreon.
Yes.
We've got bonus episodes and mini episodes there. Feel free to share the show with your friends. Tell your friends. Um, Give us a good rating. Give us 5 stars. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll be back very soon with another episode of Black Girl Missing.
Bye,
Toodles.
y'all.
Black Girl Missing podcast is researched, written, and produced by 3 concerned Black women who want justice for missing Black girls. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Please remember to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite platform so we can keep bringing you the stories of Black girls that need to be told. Visit us at blackgirlmissingpod.com for all things Black Girl Missing. Today's episode was written and produced by yours truly.